Good morning. Good morning, traders. How are you all doing today? Karibuni sana. Glad you could all join us on this fine Friday morning. Hope everyone is doing well or from wherever you are. So I guess we should be able to start. So for those who are new, my name is Mitch Caniero and I'm a trader with Afriforex. I want to welcome you to another Afriforex daily analysis session. Now, during this session, we as the Afriforex team, we wake up early in the morning, we identify what trading opportunities we'll be taking for the day, we identify the strengths and weaknesses of different currency pairs, and we do share that information with you. So as usual, we do have the Afriforex team here in the back office. So if you have any questions or queries, feel free to ask them on the chat box. I will be responding to those towards the end of the webinar, or at least this session. So let's jump straight into it. So as usual, we'll start off with our watch list. Now, with our watch list here, you can see there is a slight difference between yesterday and today. So yesterday, we were looking for selling opportunities on the New Zealand dollar, the Japanese yen, and the Canadian dollar. And we're looking to mix and match these three pairs with all the pairs on the buy side. So that was the euro, the Swiss franc, the British pound, the US dollar, as well as the Australian dollar. As you can also see, we have indices as well as gold and silver there. But today, you can see there's been a slight change with the number of pairs that we are looking at. So on the sell side, we still have the Canadian dollar, which did end up showing us quite a few good opportunities yesterday. So we'll still be looking for selling opportunities on the Canadian dollar. However, the US dollar has moved to the sell side. And if you realize, we did have the New Zealand dollar and the Japanese yen on the sell side yesterday, but they have both moved to the buy side today. So our focus today is going to be on the Canadian dollar pairs. We'll mix and match them with the pairs on the buy side, then focus on the US dollar pairs before we do have a look at the indices as well as gold and silver. So let's jump straight into at least the pairs for yesterday, or at least quick note right here. You can see we do have a number of fundamentals that did come out during the Asian session. That's one of the factors that did end up changing the Japanese yen. However, you can see today, later on, we do have some more fundamentals. You can see some euro news coming out later on, 11:30, around midday, as well as some British pound fundamentals. So we expect there are potentially going to be opportunities during the London session. There's a high chance that it's going to be happening around 12:30 or so once the news event comes out. If nothing happens then chances are we will see some volatility during the US session. So let's focus on the pairs that we did have yesterday that we're not going to be focusing on today. So we'll start off with the New Zealand dollar pairs. So right here, we'll have the euro against the New Zealand dollar. Now, yesterday, our bias was to look for buying opportunities. And one thing you realize with all the New Zealand dollar pairs, it seems that during the London session, starting from around 10 o'clock, the Frankfurt market opened, and 11 o'clock, as you can see, the price did manage to go all the way till the upside, coming back all the way till the main seller's area. But you can see after that, the market did end up reacting quite aggressively. We did want to see as the price was coming down, whether or not we would end up getting some sort of reaction from the US big boys. So at 4 o'clock, there was nothing. At 5:30, nothing as well, because we were not necessarily within a buyer's area. And you can see, wanted to see how the market would react in this buyer's area. But the fact that the way the price has come down, this is definitely some New Zealand dollar weakness. Sorry, the New Zealand dollar did end up showing quite a bit of strength later on. So unfortunately for us today, this is a pair that's going to be off our watch list. Now, similar situation, we did have the New Zealand dollar against the Swiss franc. We were looking for selling opportunities. You can see the three areas. Price was within this particular location here. And during the London session, it did end up attempting to try and come down, but it seems like it did end up finding some small buyers area right here that kept on holding the market. And you can see by 5:30, when the price had actually broken this area to the upside and held above, we knew there was no selling opportunity for us. Remember, the one thing we always want to see is signs of big boy sellers actually coming in, and there were no aggressive sells within this area whatsoever. So as soon as it broke to the upside and held above, this pair did fall off our watch list, and you can see the New Zealand dollar strength that did continue coming in today during the Asian session. So next pair we did have was the British pound against the New Zealand dollar. Remember, I did point out that the New Zealand dollar pairs did work out during the London session. So you can see around 10:30, 11 there. Price did not necessarily get all the way to the bottom area that we did want, but did end up finding some sort of support in this area that we did get the price going all the way to the upside. You can see we did end up getting a problem area within here where the market did struggle quite a bit to actually break this area to the upside. You can see at 4 and 5:30, or at least during the US session, nothing much really happened. And you can see that New Zealand dollar strength coming in during the Asian session, similar situation from that particular area. Now, even though we've come back down towards this buyer's area, we finally managed to get here and we are starting to see some sort of reaction. Unfortunately, this pair could potentially end up giving you issues. And that's the reason why it is off our watch list for today. One thing you'll realize is pairs that are on the same side, they're both fighting. So for example, today we have the British pound and the New Zealand dollar, which are both on. You can see on the buy side right here. That means if we want to buy the British pound or the British pound is trying to show strength, it means that this pair, or at least the chart, is trying to go up. But at the same time, when the New Zealand dollar pair is trying to show strength, you can see the price actually coming to the downside. So what you find most of the times is when the pairs are both on the same side, the market will actually end up starting to range between a specific level. So it's no surprise that you'll not necessarily find any huge movements on there, even though, yes, there could be some opportunities, you won't necessarily get any clear direction. So that's the reason why the British pound against the New Zealand dollar today is off our watch list. Now, next pair we did have is the Australian dollar against the New Zealand dollar. Similar situation, our bias was to look for buying opportunities. Now, it seems this one did end up working out. Similar situation during the London session. You can see the price didn't manage to continue going to the upside. Unfortunately, you can't see even during the US session, nothing really much happened. And it did end up going up quite choppily all the way till the top. And you can see the New Zealand dollar strength that did come in. But the fact that both the Australian dollar and the New Zealand dollar are both showing strength, it is no surprise for you to see the market actually just bouncing between two levels, giving you a sort of range, because they're both fighting to go on the opposite sides. And that's the reason why you find these markets ranging. So hope that's clear on the Australian dollar against the New Zealand dollar. So moving on to the next pair we did have, that we're not going to be focusing on, is the euro against the Japanese yen. Now, yesterday, our bias here was to look for buying opportunities. And you can see the buys did work out. Unfortunately, they did work out during the Asian session. Because during the London session, we were within an area where the sellers, remember, we always mention buy with buyers and sell with sellers. And you can see the price was within an area where the sellers during the London market opened. We did get the market giving us a pullback throughout the whole of the London session. The US session, the price came back. It was within this particular area at 4. But the US big boys did not really have that much strength. But you can see this same area that John had pointed out. You can see that the market never actually broke that location. You can clearly see them. Very nice probe where it tried to break to the downside, never held below. So this was just a probe. And you can see the price did manage to come back within this area, but it only took off once there's a big boy actually able to take the market to the upside. And most of the time you'll find that that is during or at least the market opens. So in this situation, this was during the Asian market open. It seems the Asian big boys are the ones who did manage to get it all the way to the top. But you can see the yen news that did come out later on. You can see the fact that the reaction that did end up happening. So unfortunately, even though the trade did work out later on, this one would have been a bit tricky to get. And unfortunately for us today, it is not a pair that we're going to be focusing on. Now, the next pair we did have was the Swiss franc against the Japanese yen. Similar situation with all these yen pairs. During the London session, we were within an area where they're sellers. So you can see the market did end up giving us a pullback. Wanted to see what kind of reaction we got within this particular buyer's area. So you can see when the price came to the downside, when it came up, potentially looked like a probe. So we wanted to see the price actually holding above. But at 5:30, it actually got the strength to continue coming down lower. So no buying opportunity just yet. You can see the price didn't manage to come back within this buyer's area. And it only took off. Similar situation during the Asian session. Could not necessarily get all the way to the top, but you can see it came quite a close, but similar reaction with the yen pairs, where the yen have started showing a lot more strength. So unfortunately for us today, this is a pair that's going to be off our watch list. Now, the next pair we did have was the British pound against the Japanese yen. This pair did work out quite well, looking for buying opportunities. And you can see we did end up getting a pullback, the illustration that John had pointed out. Wanted to see what kind of reaction we did end up getting. So during the London session, wanted to see how the market was going to go to the upside. Not really much of a reaction, where you can see at 4 o'clock, though, the price was still back within this buyer's area. Nothing really at that point in time. As you can see, the market was just holding. Just a bit of a move that did end up happening during the Asian session to the push to the upside. But you can clearly see this was just a probe where the market just went to the upside and came straight back in. So unfortunately for us, even though the trade did work out yesterday, this is a pair that could potentially give us issues today. And that's the reason why it is off our watch list. Now, the next pair that we did have was the Australian dollar against the Japanese yen. Similar correlation with all these yen pairs. During the London session, we were within an area where the sellers, we did end up getting a pullback. Wanted to see whether or not the price would come back within this support and resistance area, but it seems that it was more comfortable finding these buyers right here, because you can see the price came back within that area, has kept on holding within the market throughout the whole time. Hardly doing anything yesterday, but a bit during the Asian session where the price didn't manage to go to the upside. But you can see a similar situation with the British pound against the Japanese yen. The market has just probed this area and come back to the downside. So unfortunately, even though it does look like it could potentially be for a sell, Remember, I did mention when pairs are both on the same side, they're most likely to end up ranging. So you can clearly see that this would not necessarily be the best. And one thing also about ranges spike a lot. So even though you might say that you look for a sell right here and a buy at the bottom, you can clearly see how many times that the markets do end up probing such areas. So you might think that you're going to be safe on that trade and could easily end up getting stopped out. So that's it for the Australian dollar against the yen. So moving on to the last pair that we did have for review. I know there are a number of pairs for review. We do have the US dollar against the Canadian dollar. Now on this pair, so let me just move this. So on this pair yesterday, our bias here was to look for buying opportunities. Unfortunately, no buying opportunities really came in. We wanted to see what kind of reaction came in during the London session. So first of all, during the Asian session, nothing really much happened. As you can see, the market ranging. 11 o'clock and 10 o'clock when the London market opened, nothing really much happened. We did get a move to the upside, and at 4, price was back within an area where there are sellers. So no real trading opportunity, and it seems that the US big boys were more interested in bringing this price down lower. As you can see, the market did end up continuing coming down. So these are pair that definitely is going to give us issues today. Remember, both the US dollar and the Canadian dollar are both showing weakness. Now, the fact that you're seeing this market coming down, it just means that the US dollar is showing a bit more weakness than the Canadian dollar, right? But remember, as long as you match them with other pairs, so remember we'll be matching them with the pairs on the buy side, it does give your trade a higher probability of working out. So let's say the Canadian dollar doesn't show that much weakness, you might find the euro shows a lot more strength. So you find the euro against Canadian dollar could be a nice trading opportunity. So hope that's clear for the reviewed pairs. So before we do jump on to today's pairs, we will end up having a look at a few screenshots. In fact, we did end up getting quite a few yesterday, so happy to see that. So we'll start off here with Dan. Dan Bickett, you did manage to grab a very nice buying opportunity on the UK 100. We do know you like trading indices, but at least as long as you can look at one and trade one, there's a high probability you can trade the rest. So very, very well done. Very nice buy right there. You can see the price going up in your favor, and you have managed your trade well with your stop loss already above your entry. So very, very good job on this trade, Dan Bickett. And since yesterday you were on a roll, so similar situation. Again, I think this is must be the same trade, similar buy where the stop loss. I guess this was just based on a higher time frame. I guess you're showing exactly where your take profit is. But the fact that you're back within an area where there are sellers, I do end up hoping you managed your trade. But very, very good job on that trade, Dan Bickett. We also did manage to grab the NASDAQ, the NAS 100. Very nice buy. Similar story, it seems, on all of them. Got a buy there. Your stop loss is already above your entry. So very, very good job on this trade, Dan Bickett. And you also caught the US dollar against the Japanese yen. Seems like you did manage to grab a selling opportunity right there. You didn't end up taking advantage of the USD weakness, but you did mention that you took this during the Asian session. It seems that you were awake earlier and you did manage to take advantage of that yen strength. So very, very good job on that trade, Dan Bickett. So also next, we did get George Cheke. Happy to see your screenshots here. Haven't seen them in a while, but very happy to see that you're back here. Very nice buying opportunity on the euro against the US dollar. Can see the trade going up in your favor. Very, very good placement of your stop loss. Can see it is risk-free, and the fact that the price is not necessarily going to get towards that area. If it comes down, these are the buyers that you are focusing. So the fact that these are the buyers who are pushing through the upside, as long as your stop loss is below there, it is within a very good area, because we've seen many times the price pulling back to such buyers areas and still going to the upside. So many times people get stopped out and they find the trade going. So in order to avoid that, do end up giving your trade some good space to move. But very, very well done for that trade, George Chege. So also next we get John. John, John, he's been here doing these webinars with me, part of their Forex team. So he did manage to grab a very nice buying opportunity on the Australian dollar against the Canadian dollar. Very nice buy. You can see the market going up in his favor. Stop loss already above his entry. And you see the same situation that I've mentioned to George. You can see the buyer who is pushing up is this buyer right here. So the stop loss is below that particular area. So it ends up being a risk-free trade. So just in case, and you can't even see that exactly what happened before. So imagine the market went to the upside. It came back down, and if you just put your stop loss there and the market had gone up, you'd have easily gotten stopped out with that move before the market did end up continuing. That's the reason why I would encourage, don't necessarily move your stop loss too quickly or too close to price. You need to give the market some space to move before that happens. But very, very well done on this trade, John, as well. So also next we get Millicent. He did manage to grab a very, very nice buying opportunity on gold. Very nice buy right there at the bottom. You can see the trade has really, really gone up in your favor. So very, very well done on this. You can't see if your stop loss is still near your entry point. At this point in time, you can't see the market will give you higher highs and higher lows. So remember, as long as the price has gone through the upside and we've gotten a new low and you can see the price starting to go up, you should be safe to put your stop loss below that particular area. And you can see it has done it again where we've got a pullback and the price has managed to go up. So at this point in time, you can actually be able to move your stop loss a bit higher. So at least you are securing a number of things. This being gold, we know many times that you could find the trade is working out very well, you're in profit and very happy. Then the next thing you find a huge red candle and you wonder where all that money went. So do be careful, do make sure you manage your trades well, because money management is a key thing in order for making money in the markets. So I want to thank and shout out to everyone who did manage to send in screenshots yesterday. We really do appreciate it. Remember, if you do manage to take any setups based on things we do share, feel free to send them into us. Our contact details should be in the description under the video. So let's jump onto today's pairs. So we'll start off with the Canadian dollar pairs, mix and match them with the pairs on the buy side before we move on to the US dollar pairs and do the exact same thing. Then we will look at the fan favorites, gold, silver, as well as a few indices. So starting off with the Canadian dollar pairs, we'll start off with the euro against Canadian dollar. Now, yesterday, our bias here was to look for buying opportunities. It is still the same situation today. Now, you can see during the London session, the price was within an area where the sellers, we did not want to jump in on any buying opportunity at that point in time. But you can see the price did end up giving us a pullback. They attempted to come all the way down, could not. You can see the price attempted to try and break the upside. And I guess at 4:30, or at least around 4 during the US market open, we did get that pullback coming in. We finally got the price coming back within this buyer's area. So around 6:30 or so. So unfortunately, not necessarily specifically the times that we mentioned, but this was definitely happening during the New York Stock Exchange open. And you can see the price didn't manage to continue going up and we're back within the area where they're sellers. So today, as you can clearly see, the story is pretty much the same. We'll still be focusing on the exact same areas. But right now, you can see the fact that we're within an area where they're sellers and we're looking for buying opportunities. That is definitely not the best place to look for those buys. So one thing we'll need to wait for, or at least two things will end up happening. And that's the thing. It's very easy to predict what could potentially end up happening. So the fact that we're within a seller's area, one of two things can happen. The sellers could react similar to yesterday, where we could end up getting our pullback coming in. You might find that we're potentially in some sort of range before we break the market to the upside. But we'll be potentially looking for a buying opportunity if we are able to get this pullback coming down lower. But there's also the potential that the price could end up breaking this area to the upside. And remember, we don't want something like this where you can see the market goes to the upside and goes straight back in. It goes up and comes straight back in. The one thing we want is if the price goes up, we want the market, yes, to give us a pullback, but we want to see evidence that the price is actually holding to the upside, that this level actually becomes a support. At that point in time, you have way more confluence to actually be able to take an opportunity within that particular area, especially if it lines up within one of the market opening times. Remember, 11, 4, and 5:30. So right now, we need to we need to wait and see what will happen. The sellers could end up reacting, or we could end up waiting for the price to break to the upside. But remember, due to the fact that we're dealing with the euro against the Canadian dollar, we have some euro fundamentals coming out at 12, but the Canadian dollar is also mostly active during the US session. So do take note of that. So hope that's clear, at least on our game plan on the euro against the Canadian dollar. As we move on to the next Canadian dollar pair here, we do have the Canadian dollar against the Swiss franc. Now, yesterday, our bias here was to look for selling opportunities. Hence, the price had given us a pullback, or at least we're within a support area, or at least within an area where there were buyers. Now, we wanted to see a pullback coming in. And yes, the pullback did come in. Unfortunately, could not necessarily get within this particular area. You can see the market really did come up quite aggressive. Seems that the market were hoping that the price would end up coming back all the way to the main seller's area right there at the top. Seems like it found some sort of support and resistance here within this blue support and resistance area right here, where it bounced within that location around 6:30 or so before the market has attempted to try and come down. So overall, technically, we're still within the same levels, because overall, we end up coming up to the 1 hour time frame. Should be able to see this is the seller who has managed to push down lower. And if you compare how the seller came down, literally just one candle, look at how long it has taken the buyers to try and even go to the upside. They tried one attempt, got a pullback. They're trying another attempt. They can't really go anywhere. So overall, we're just waiting to see when these big boy sellers are actually going to come back in. And that's the reason why we'll still be focusing on these same areas that we did end up having yesterday. So the aggressive seller all the way at the top. And that's the reason why, as long as we're holding below that area, we should still be looking for selling opportunities. Right now, we do seem to be playing within this area. And especially if you look at the 1 hour time frame, this same level that we did end up having. Remember, one thing we always want to see is when the market actually is breaking a level, we want to see the price actually holding. So you can see in this situation, it looks as if it was going to the upside, but it came straight back in. Right now, it looks as if it's attempting. We want to see, is the price going to come back in and hold below? If it does, then we might actually be able to find a very nice selling opportunity. If not, then chances are the buyers could still continue coming to the upside. At least we know we'll still be looking for selling opportunities as long as we're holding below the seller's area right there. So if you go back to the 15-minute, at least right now, it should be a bit more clearer. I know it's based on a bigger time frame. However, it does give you a much more stronger story of where the market could end up going. So right now, let's wait to see if we can get the price coming back in and holding below, then we should be able to find a very nice selling opportunity. If not, and we do not see any aggressive sellers, remember, we want to see big boy sellers coming in. That will give you a sign that you know this is the price that the big boys will be interested in. And that means that you also should be interested in at that point in time as well. So hope that's clear on the Canadian dollar against the Swiss franc. As we move on to the next Canadian dollar pair, right here we have the British pound against the Canadian dollar. Yesterday, our bias was to look for buying opportunities. Now I've adjusted the level slightly, but you can see the 3 areas. Just adjust this slightly right there. So these are the areas that we did end up having yesterday. So during the London market open, we see a pullback coming in. But you can see the pullback came in shy of the area that we did end up having, came back to within a support and resistance area. It seems like you found some buyers area right there before it attempted to go to the upside. But you can see we did not necessarily get a breach the first time where the price went to the upside, it came back in. So at that point in time, there was no breach just yet. In fact, it ended up pulling back towards some support and resistance area at around 530 before the market has attempted to continue going up to the upside. So today, the bias here is still going to be looking for buying opportunities. So we'll focus on these 3 areas. So we have a seller's area right there where the market has been holding for quite a while, or at least today morning throughout the Asian session. So we'll definitely be looking for buying opportunities, but the fact that within a seller's area, we need one of 2 things. So this could actually end up breaking to the upside. And if we do get the price holding above, then that will confirm that this level has been broken and we should be able to look for buying opportunity. However, we've seen this many times. You can see even that's the same thing that happened here yesterday. And the price was able to come all the way down lower. So if you do find the price not able to hold to the upside, comes back in and holds below, then chances are we could be getting the price giving us a pullback back within this support and resistance area before we're able to look for some potential buying opportunities on the British pound against the Canadian dollar. So let's see what ends up happening here. It does look as if it's attempting to break the upside, but remember, be careful of puts. You want to wait for that confirmation to come in. Now, moving on to the next pair, we do have this Australian dollar against Canadian dollar. Now, yesterday, our bias was to look for buying opportunities. It is still the same situation today. You can see the price did end up giving us a pullback throughout the London session or during the London session, but the price was within this particular bias area. It seems this was around 12 o'clock, so 1 hour into the London session. And you can see the reaction. Some big boys did end up showing evidence that they are interested in this. So these are the signs that we do want to see. Some big boys reaction. After that, we'll wait for a pullback because price will definitely always come back. And you can see it still managed to get within this particular area. 530, we got a pullback. It spiked back down within this area before the price didn't manage to continue going to the upside. So this seems to be the trade that John did manage to get. So he's definitely in some really good money today. So overall, we're definitely going to be looking for buying opportunities. But as you can see, the price is so high up at the moment. And remember, in order for us to look for buys, I think most people know the basics, but don't necessarily know the basics. We always say the market goes up in higher highs and higher lows. If that's the case, then the best place to look for the buys is when the market is making the higher lows. That means the price has to be coming back down in order for you to look for your buying opportunity, meaning you need that pullback. So right now, based on that story, right now we can clearly see the market has been going up, but right now we're at the top area right here. So we should not be jumping in on any buying opportunities just yet. Remember, we want that pullback to come in. So it's a similar story. We want the pullback to potentially come in for us to look for a buying opportunity within a nice support and resistance area, or at least an area where buyers have reacted from before. So that's exactly what we do end up teaching and we do end up doing every day. So the fact that the price is all the way here, regardless of how it starts moving to the upside, we do not start chasing the market. You'll never really get anywhere if you're chasing the market. We equate it to a similar situation to fish. I mean, if you go fishing and a fish ends up escaping, what are the chances that you're actually going to dive in and actually start swimming after it? It does not make sense. You wait for the next opportunity. It's not that specific one that has to work. Remember, there will be more opportunities, very, very many more opportunities. I think you saw some yesterday, there'll be some today, and there will be more, not necessarily tomorrow, but next week. But remember, right here, the main thing we do want is a pullback. So let's wait to see if we can potentially get that pullback coming in. But remember, if not, and the price is able to continue going to the upside, it just means that this wasn't the highest point. The price might still need to go up, and at that point in time, we will still need a pullback, getting confirmation price is holding above for us to look for a buy. So the story doesn't change. We'll always wait for a pullback within a buyer's area to look for potential trading opportunities. So hope that is clear on the Australian dollar against Canadian dollar. As we move on to the next Canadian dollar pair we do have. So right now, these are brand new entry on our watch list. This is the Canadian dollar against the Japanese yen. So here, our bias is going to be looking for selling opportunities. Remember, the yens have shown a lot of strength, and we're not linking them up with the other pairs because there's potential that if the other pairs start showing strength, then your trade will actually end up not necessarily going as smooth as you did wind up wanting it. I know most people want to enter a trade and it goes smoothly. Not necessarily entering a trade and it's just choppy all throughout. It does give you a headache, goes through your emotions, as it's positive, it's negative. All that does not really help your psyche, especially you might end up closing the trade early or prematurely, and you'll later on find out that the trade actually worked. So majority of the time, it's better just to enter your trade. Once you've set your parameters, you just leave it, or at least look for a trading opportunity that has a high probability of just going straight to a particular level. So in this situation here, we're definitely seeing Japanese yen strength. Let's see if we'll also find some Canadian dollar weakness that could really also boost this price to continue going down lower. But for now, as you can see, we were within some sort of small range, or at least some support and resistance area here. We did get the price coming down lower. It looks as if we're pulling back within this area. So we're within a very interesting area right here, because if the price is able to actually hold within this area and hold below, then there's a possibility we could actually get this price coming down lower from this particular location. But if not, then chances are we could maybe get the price coming up a bit higher. Chances of that happening are low, but there are still the chances there. So if the price comes up and it holds above, that just means that this whole move was just a probe, meaning that the market is still ranging. And if it's still ranging, the best place to look for yourself would be at the top of the range to actually come down with it. So do take note of that. But right now, remember also one thing, use correlation. Have a look at the other yen pairs. They should end up giving you a clue on whether or not the trade is actually ready to go. So hope that's clear as we move on to the next and last Canadian dollar pair we do have. Right here, it's a brand new entry on our watch list. We have the New Zealand dollar against Canadian dollar. Now, here, you can clearly see this market has gone to the upside, but it wasn't always. You can see yesterday, the market was just ranging. That's because the New Zealand dollar and the Canadian dollar were both on the same side. So you can see the reason why we always focus on a strong versus weak pair and not strong versus strong or weak versus weak. So in this situation, you can see the market was ranging, we managed to break above the range, hoping this isn't just the only test, because right now we are starting to go to the upside, but let's wait to see what happens. If this is just a probe and the price comes back in, then chances are we could still be looking for buying opportunities within the support and resistance area for us to look for our buys there. But if the price is able to actually break this area to the upside and actually hold above, then at that point in time, we should be able to look for buying opportunities there. That's a similar situation as you can see when the price went to the upside. So apologies. So when the price went to the upside within this particular area, you can see we got a pullback coming in, which showed us evidence that the price was actually holding above. So then you can clearly see there was a very nice buy opportunity to continue taking it to the upside. So that's something similar. If we do see something of the same, then we should be able to take that trading opportunity there. So hope that's clear on all the Canadian dollar pairs. As you can see, we've mixed and matched the Canadian dollar pairs with all the pairs on the buy side. So right now we're going to move on to the US dollar pairs before we do have a look at the indices. So we'll start off here with the euro against the US dollar. Now here our bias is, or at least is a brand new entry on our watch list, and our bias here is to look for buying opportunity. Can see we're within an area where the sellers, so don't start chasing those buying opportunities just yet. Remember, one thing we want to see is a pullback to come in within one of these particular areas or a breach to the upside. So right now, let's see if we can end up getting this market giving us a sort of pullback coming back in, seeing the price actually holding above this area will give us a very nice trading opportunity. You realize one thing, especially if we go up higher to the 1 hour time frame, you'll realize that this support and resistance area in the middle has not actually been broken. If you realize how many times it has actually probed it, you can see all these spikes are just probes. That was now never, the market has not even breached. Even when the price went all the way till the top, you can see it came straight back in and held below. So right now, and you can see the price still managed to come all the way back down towards the same buyer's area. So right now, the price had attempted to go to the upside. You can see no hold above. But right now, even though the price is back within this area, you can clearly see it's still the same area that the price has been to. So don't think that just because we're all the way at the top, the price cannot come all the way back down to the bottom. As you can clearly see, it has done that before. But if we're able to get the price coming and it shows the evidence that the price is actually holding above this area, then we should be able to find a very nice buying opportunity to take it up higher. But at least that would give us confirmation that that level has actually been broken. So we wait to see what ends up happening. You can end up getting that pullback coming in. The price continues going up. Remember the same story. We need a pullback regardless. So if the price is able to break this area to the upside, let's see if the price is able to actually hold above. If it is, then we should be able to continue looking for those buying opportunities on the euro against the US dollar. So moving on to the next US dollar pair we do have, we have the US dollar against the Swiss franc. Now, these are brand new entries on our watch list, and our bias here is to look for selling opportunities. One thing you'll realize is that this market does seem to be within some sort of range. As you can see, this market has been bouncing between these two levels right here, even though it does look as if the price has gone to the upside, but the market has never actually held above that particular area. So overall, today, bias here is going to be looking for selling opportunities, but as you can see, we're within a bias area, so no selling opportunity just yet. But these are the overall sellers areas that we'll be focusing on. Right now, the fact that the market is ranging, and you can see it has managed to actually come down quite low and still been able to go all the way back up to the top. So just because the price is all the way down here, don't think that now the trade is about to go and you're going to miss it. Remember, be patient, wait for the market to do what you actually want it to do before you actually are able to take those trading opportunities. So right now, we'll wait to see what ends up happening. If it's just a probe and the price just comes back in and holds above, then the best place to look for yourself is at the top of the range. But if you're able to get the price coming down lower, and it does look as if it's coming down, remember, we want to see the price giving us a pullback and holding. If it does end up holding below, then that definitely will give us confluence that the trade should be able to actually continue going to the downside. So wait to see what happens within this area. You can clearly see, just because you can see it's come down quite a bit far, you can say the same thing about this. You can clearly see the market really came far, very aggressive. The sellers looked very strong, and the price was still able to go all the way back up. So do not chase the market. Let's wait for the pullback to come in and get confluence that the price is actually going to fall below. So hope that's clear on the US dollar against the Swiss franc. Moving on to the next US dollar pair, we do have the British pound against the US dollar, brand new entry on our watch list. You can clearly see this price does seem to be going up quite aggressive. Maybe has something to do with both the US dollar and the British pound, but overall, we'll definitely be looking for buying opportunities here. Seems that sometimes if the market is very strong, it will not necessarily give us much of a pullback. However, we'll still be waiting for the same story. So right now, it does look as if it's potentially breaching. Let's wait to see if we can end up getting this pullback coming in and holding above. If it holds above, then we should be able to look for buying opportunities. But be careful, because you could easily find the price coming back in and holding below. And if it does that, then there's a possibility we could still be coming back down all the way to our buyer's area right here before we're able to continue taking those buying opportunities on the British pound against the US dollar. But one thing to take note of is you can end up having a look at the other US dollar pairs. You can see the euro against the US dollar is breaching to the downside. The US dollar against the Swiss franc is breaching to the downside. And the British pound against the US dollar is breaching to the upside. This means that it's definitely, the one thing that's common with all of them is the US dollar. So you definitely know it's the US dollar that is pushing this. Because remember, if we have a look at maybe the euro against Canadian dollar, you can see the euro going to the upside. Canadian dollar, similar situation as well as the British pound. So you might actually find both of them actually doing something similar, and that could definitely end up giving you some nice confluence, at least some trading opportunities. That is definitely giving you, the big boys are definitely in the market. But remember, do not chase. Wait for those pullbacks or price to come back in within a buyer's area for you to take those trading opportunities. So moving on to the next US dollar pair, we have the Australian dollar against the US dollar. We are brand new into our watch list, and the story is pretty much the same. You can see yesterday the market was ranging as both the pairs were on the same side. It seems today during the Asian session, we did get a lot of strength. In fact, it was yesterday during the US session. That's when the strength, or the weakness, started coming in for the US dollar. So right now, it does look as if it's breaking the upside. Do not chase. I would encourage that very much, because if you're entering your trade all the way at the top there, where are you actually going to be able to put your stop loss? And even if you put your stop loss within a certain area, then that means how far are you actually going to be targeting? You'll now start having to go to the 4 hour or the daily, and you start looking, or maybe there's a level here, or maybe there's a level here. Focus on what you can see on the chart. So remember, wait for that pullback. It's always much, much better, and it will give you a much longer career in this trading market, basically. So hope that's clear on Australian dollar against the US dollar. So move on to the next US dollar pair. Here we have the US dollar against the Japanese yen. Now, yesterday we did have this pair, but we did have it for buying opportunities. So I wanted to see what would happen within this particular 3 areas. So during the London market open, we started getting the pullback coming in. Nothing really much happened. Market never actually managed to get towards the buyer's area. It didn't end up doing that much later on. During the Asian session, it did end up attempting to go to the upside, but could not really, before you can see the prices really come down quite aggressive. So remember, there is a mixture of both the US dollar being weak and the Japanese yen being strong. Then this pair, chances of it giving much pullbacks are quite low. But that doesn't mean that we will not wait for them. Let's wait to see what ends up happening. Dan Bickett, you must be really happy about this trade, because you did manage to grab that selling opportunity earlier during the Asian session. This has a high probability of continuing to come down a bit lower. But one thing you'll realize, overall on this market, we're definitely within a range, bouncing between these two levels. So this is what happens when the 95% lose. Most people just focus and they see these huge red candles they've heard from this session that the US dollar is weak and the yen is strong and we should be selling this, but not realizing where we are within the story. So right now, everyone starts jumping in on selling opportunities. Most people will have their stop losses within here. So it would be no surprise if the market actually ends up down something like this, going to stop everyone who are jumping on all those sells. When the price gets towards now the area that it's interested in, maybe now people start jumping in on buys, not realizing that we're just gotten a pullback towards the seller's area. Because remember, most people are late to the market. So that's when we might end up seeing some big boy sellers, and we could end up potentially grabbing some nice selling opportunity within this area. So we'll wait to see what ends up happening. But this one, I would encourage to not chase. We either wait for this area, but remember overall, since the market structure is a range bouncing between these two levels, I would not be surprised if the price actually ends up being able to get all the way back up to the top. So be careful about that on the US dollar against the Japanese yen. Now, moving on to the next and last pair that we do have, we have the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar. Now, yesterday we did have this kind of pair, but we did have it for a selling opportunity. We wanted to see whether or not we could end up getting this pullback coming in within the seller's area for us to look for a selling opportunity within an area where sellers are. Because we did end up identifying that the market was within some sort of small range. But can see the market did not do that. The price came down slightly, bounced off some sort of small support and resistance area, came back within the seller's area, and we wanted to see what kind of reaction was going to happen there. But as you can see, no sign of any big boy seller. If you look at even how the buyer came up to just one candle, look, it's taken around 3 or 4 candles for it to do the exact same thing. So you definitely know the big boy sellers are not there yet. And during the Asian session, you can clearly see the New Zealand dollar did end up showing us a lot more strength. So today, the bias here is going to be looking for buying opportunities. Remember, the bias have switched. So overall, we'll be focusing on these 3 areas. So one thing also to make note about ranges, and this is something that we do end up teaching within the masterclass course, when the market does end up ranging, bouncing between such levels, there's a high probability once we do end up getting the price breaking, it should end up pulling back, or at least it has a high probability of pulling back to that support and resistance area that was broken and then taking off from there. So just because right now we're seeing the prices all the way at the top, do not be surprised if later on or Monday when we come to look at the market, we find the price has actually been able to pull back within the support and resistance area, and we do see the price taking off in that location. So right now, do not chase the market. Most people, if they're entering the buys here, the stop losses are here. I would not be surprised the price does end up coming back down low. So hope that's clear on all the currency pairs. As you can see, we've mixed and matched all the pairs on the sell side with the pairs on the buy side. So right now we're going to move, have a look at the indices before we do have a look at gold and silver. So we'll start off here with the NASDAQ, the NAS 100. Now, yesterday, our bias here was to look for buying opportunities. It is still the same situation today. You can clearly see we did end up getting a very nice pullback coming in, came back within the buyer's area, and you can see the price was holding within this location. You do take note of the time. It started taking off at around 5:30 during the New York Stock Exchange open, and you can see the price has managed to come all the way back up towards the main seller's area. So overall, we'll still be looking for buying opportunities, because remember, this is based on a larger time frame. This move happened all the way from down here. The buyers were able to push this price from down here all the way. You can see that is just one big move. And that's the reason why we're still relying on this buyer, knowing that as long as we're holding above that area, we should still be looking for buys. If we did end up getting a pullback, wanted to see whether or not that pullback was going to come back within here or within this support and resistance area. It seems that the first one was good enough, at least for now. Let me say that, because one thing you'll realize, or at least one thing we have done many times or identified on the charts, is we did end up getting, yes, a pullback, and the price is back within the seller's area. Now, the main thing we want to see, or at least within the story, is if we do end up getting a pullback, then the price should technically go for our new high. Meaning right now, the fact that we're holding within the seller's area, it doesn't mean that we're not going to make a new high, but if the price is not able to actually go up higher than this, where the price was before, it means that as a pullback, since the main purpose of buyers, because remember the buyers are buying right here, you want to actually end up giving a discount, or at least most people want a discount for them to buy some more. Now, it means that, yes, they got a discount, and yes, there are a number of people who bought. But if they did not have enough power to actually continue making new highs, it means that this price here was not good enough. If that means that it wasn't good enough, then there's a high probability we need a better price. If you go and you're negotiating for something and someone says a specific price, if that's not a good enough price, we will not take it until you end up possibly getting a better price. So that's the potentially situation here. So if we don't find the market actually breaking this area to the upside and holding above to continue going up higher, then there's a possibility that this price could actually end up coming back down, not even holding within this area, because it showed us evidence that this area is not good enough to take the price up higher. There's a high probability we could even get the price coming back down within this main buyers. And if we see the buyers reacting, then chances are we could end up looking for our buying opportunity within that area. And we might find that that's the one that is actually able to make the price. However, we'll wait to see what ends up happening. Yes, we're within an area where the sellers are reacting a bit, but let's see, because the buyers could still decide to continue pushing to the upside. You can see the strength that they did come in with. There's still that potential that could happen on the US 100. So hope that is clear as we move on to the next pair that we do have. So right here, we have the Dow Jones. The Dow Jones really did end up taking off quite aggressively. John had pointed out a specific level here, and the price just managed to continue grinding up higher. So during the Asian session, nothing much happened. The London session opened, nothing much at that point in time, but we started getting a bit more volatility. It was once the US session came in, we did end up getting a real big push to the upside. And specifically, it was around 5:30, the New York Stock Exchange open. So this being the indices, they are mainly active during the New York Stock Exchange open. So here, our bias is definitely still going to be looking for buying opportunities. We're back in a very huge seller's area, or at least you can see there's a huge move that we did end up getting through the upside. So the fact that the buyers have really gone up doesn't mean that we should continue jumping in on buys. It's very obvious to everyone that the buyers are here. So for us, similar story, we'll wait to see if we can end up getting a pullback coming in, reacting, or seeing what kind of reaction we get within one of these two buyers areas. If we see the buyers really reacting within those locations, then we'll definitely be looking for some buying opportunities there on the Dow Jones. So hope that's clear as we move on to the next pair that we do have. So right here, we have silver. Now, silver, yesterday, our bias was to look for buying opportunities. Still the same situation today, still going to be looking for those buys. Can't see where the price was, well within an area where they're buyers, but it seems that these buyers or not necessarily good enough. Remember the story I've just pointed out, that if the price is not necessarily good enough, we possibly need a better price. So you can see the price managed to go to the upside. We made a new high. We did get a pullback, came back towards this price. We attempted to go up. We could not make any new high, meaning this price was not good enough. So you can clearly see as the price came back down lower, this price is not good enough. And what did it do? It went for a better price. And once it came for a better price, we can clearly see the reaction of the buyers. They were definitely interested at that point in time. And you can see the market has nearly already approached the top area there. So it means that there's a potential that we could continue making new highs after this, but we'll wait to see what ends up happening. But for now, right now, you can see the story in terms of the price did end up reacting. And if you do note the time, to around 5:30 or so, the New York Stock Exchange opened when the price did start going to the upside. So today, we'll still be focusing on the exact same levels. The fact that this price right here was not good enough yesterday, it is still a support and resistance area, and it has been breached just now. So let's wait to see. We can potentially end up actually getting this pullback coming in within this particular area. There's still a high probability of that. Then we could potentially end up looking for buying opportunities there. So we wait to see what ends up happening, or the price is able to break this area to the upside and it does end up holding to the upside right here. We do end up getting the market pulling back and holding above, then we should be comfortable looking for buying opportunities at that point in time as well. So hope that is clear as we move on to the next and last pair that we do have, which is gold. Now, gold, yesterday, our buyers were to look for buying opportunities. You can see the areas that we had highlighted. Now, yesterday, wanted to see what kind of reaction would happen here, and the price didn't manage to continue coming down lower. Wanted to see whether or not we get our buying opportunity within this buyer's area. We do note the time, the price was within this particular area at around 4 o'clock or 4:30, but it did not necessarily take off until around 5:30. That's when the pushes really started coming to the upside. Now, if you did miss that opportunity, you can see, or at least were available during the Asian session, you can see the market didn't manage to break this area to the upside. We got the price actually holding above. It only took off once we had a big boy, and that big boy came in during the Asian session to take the price up higher. So today, the bias here is definitely still going to be looking for buying opportunities, as you can see, but we're within an area where the sellers, or at least we've just made a higher high. So if this market is trending the way it does look as if it is, then we need a pullback, and we have this main support and resistance area right here. So we wait to see if we can end up getting this pullback coming in this support and resistance area, getting some sort of probe or price action signal. And remember, it lining up within the market opening times. So 11, 4, or 5:30, that will definitely end up giving you some nice trading opportunities there. So I guess that's it from me and from us. Here is the watch list for those of you who were late. So let me quickly check to see if there are any comments. Just a second. I want to see if there are any comments. If not, then I guess we should be able to call it a day today. Not seeing much, which is okay. I guess we can be able to call it. Anna, thank you guys so much. Apologies. John had some things he had to do, so he had to leave. So I have to deal with these things by myself. So at least you know this. These are not pre-planned. Yeah, I'm not really seeing anything, which is fine. So I want to thank you guys so much for joining me today. Really do appreciate it. Remember, in terms of fundamentals, we do have a bit of fundamentals coming out today. So we have some euro fundamentals and some British pound fundamentals. This will be coming out at around midday or so. So do take note of that. You could end up finding some volatility there. If there are any changes, we'll end up informing you on the Telegram channel. But if not, then I guess we'll see you guys next week on Monday. So once again, I want to thank you guys so much. Hope you have an amazing trading day. God bless. Happy trading, and bye for now. Cheers, guys.